If you've been following my channel, you'll know that I have been working on a fan fiction series about Jango Fett. The series is based off the Open Seasons comic and the Star Wars Bounty Hunter video game. It tells the story of Jango Fett from his youth up to the point he is hired by Count Dooku as the DNA template for the Grand Army of the Republic. In my last chapter, Jango Fett meets with Duke Adonai Kreese, the assumed leader of Mandalore and the pacifist Mandalorians called the New Mandalorians. Jango's sister lie in a medical facility undergoing a procedure to alleviate pressure from her brainstem. Jango's negotiations with the Duke seem to have gone well. With being the new Mandalore, Jango has all the right to take it from the pacifists, but he wants their trust instead of a second war. Now, Jango has to finish this civil war while Death Watch is still trying to regroup. Today on Star Wars Fanatic. Before I move forward with today's episode, go on and hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications to stay up to date on all my Star Wars fanfictions, theories, and discussions. Also, slap the Tar Vizsla out of the like button to create more love for this video and my channel. Okay, let's jump in. Duke Kreese gave Jango Fett an escort to the medical facility where his sister had just finished her surgery. His escort wasn't old, but he was a few years older than Jango. Jango instructed Cart Rao to return to Hondo's ship and await his return. Rao patted his Mandalore on the shoulder and asked him to give his regards to Arla. If she remembers, give her my apologies for the stun. Jango gave a sideways smile. He was still a bit bitter over that move. You deserve her anger. And he chuckled slightly. You're probably right. Cart Rao responded. With your permission, I would like to contact my wife and child while we're here. It's been too long. Jango gave him a full smile this time. Go ahead. Family is most important. Now more than ever. It seemed Cart Rao was actually happy as he left Jango and his escort. Families had been torn apart because of this war, and Jango was not going to be the one to stand in the way of families reuniting. With the utmost respect, Mandalore Fett, I don't see this war ending well for anyone involved, the escort began. Jango had ran into pacifists before and didn't care for their do-gooder attitude. They always seemed pompous and know-it-all. He felt the same of Duke Kreese and his daughter. They were nothing like me, Regan, who was humble and loyal to Mandalore. But this guy seems to take the Zillo beast by the tooth. I appreciate your concern for my well-being, Jango returned. Immediately the escort snapped back. Do not mistake, son of a farmer. I don't care for your well-being, only that of Mandalore. We have no room for your kind in our society. Your warriors have been plaguing Mandalore for centuries with your wars. Now, Jango was getting really annoyed, and it was becoming visible. But the more annoyed Jango got, the more the escort seemed to enjoy taunting him. So you know of my father, the journeyman protector of Concord Dawn. You would also know that this war was brought to my home and my father and mother were killed. If we weren't here to stand in the way, your family could fall beneath Tar Vizsla's black blade as well. The walk to the medical facility seemed to take forever now. Your father and mother were no Mandalorians. You disgrace our society with your pretend leadership. If I had my way, you would have been executed in the conference room in front of the Duke. And believe me, he considered it. And Jango wasn't annoyed anymore. He was now angry. Had he not left his weapons and armor on Hondo's ship, this servant would have been dead 1,000 times over. And the servant knew this. Look, servant. Jango snapped back but was cut off. Servant? That's what you think of me? You really are out of touch with Mandalorian politics. The name's Almec, Protector Almec. It would do you well to gather your sister and leave our system and never return. You are a fake Mandalore. It was lucky that they arrived at the medical center just then. Jango's knuckles were white, then red, from his balled fists. Have a good day, Protector Almec. Vote on. Almec smirked. I'll be waiting outside for you. You have 5 minutes, Fett. Jango shook off the interaction long enough to regain his composure for his sister. Arla laid with a bandage around her head. Jango sat beside her and took her hand gently. Alpha, how is she? The droid seemed to have smiled. The surgery was a success, Master Fett, but she will need time to recover. Jango shook his head. We don't have time. Just then, Arla awoke with a slight smile. Jango, thank you. Mother and Father would be so proud of you, Mandalore. Jango insisted it was just luck that got him there. You are the Mandalore. Embrace it. You have earned it. Jango couldn't help but well up. All I ever wanted was your approval. I trained every day wishing you could see what I was becoming. Arla gripped his hand tighter. I am proud of you, Jango. Mandalore Fett. The conversation went on for a moment. Arla seemed to have made a miraculous recovery. Then she broke the bad news to Jango. I won't be going with you. I'm staying on Mandalore, where I can continue treatments and rehabilitation. This news made Jango sigh. He wanted his sister with him and understood why she wanted to stay. I'm not sure they will let you stay, Arla. Just then, Duke Kreesa's daughter, Satine, entered the room. Why wouldn't we let her stay? Jango was surprised by this. Just a few minutes ago, the pompous protector was telling him that Satine's father considered having him executed. Now, his daughter is permitting Arla to stay? Satine continued. All Mandalorians have warrior blood, Mandalore Fett. What we are trying to do is change the future of Mandalore before we destroy ourselves. That doesn't happen overnight. Your sister will be taken care of here. You have my word. Jango knew this to be the right decision for Arla. For so long, he thought Arla had been killed by the Death Watch, and now that he knew she was alive, he wanted her protected. Something he couldn't promise to do for her. Had she been in her prime, she would have surely been a better warrior than he is. But she needs medical treatment. Treatment he cannot provide. He looked over at his medical droid. Alpha, stay with her. Give me regular reports. Jango then kissed his sister on the forehead. I'm so relieved you're alive. We will see each other soon, and when this war is over, we will play a game of Hunter again. Arla smiled. You bet we will. As Jango left her room, Satine walked a few feet with him until he stopped her. What's with the protector outside? Satine rolled her eyes. Almec. He's one of Father's favorites. He's good to the people, but he's a bit of a purist. If you weren't born on Mandalore, he has no respect for you. Don't worry, he's harmless. Jango brushed the interaction off. Satine seemed sincere, convincingly so. I'll take your word for it. Satine smiled a bit as they approached Almec. Almec, you're relieved. I will escort Mandalore Fett back to his ship. They could hear Almec under his breath as they walked away. Mandalore. He's in a pirate ship. The only people who involve themselves with pirates are... And Almec's voice trailed off. As they approached Hondo's ship, Satine gave a curtsy. Mandalore Fett, it's been a pleasure meeting you. Someone from my father's office will contact you soon with his decision. Jango returned a half bow. Thank you, Duchess. She giggled a little. Not yet. It's just Satine. And she walked away. Jango felt himself smile. He thought to himself that he'd better snap out of it. There's a war on, and that leaves no time for feelings that could divert his attention. As Jango awaited word from the Duke, he and Hondo were beginning to be irritated. Jango, my friend, Hondo announced. For some reason, he always had a smile when he spoke, especially when he was becoming impatient. We have seen nothing of the payment you have promised us. Our services have been utilized for a long time now, and we have not been fairly compensated. You promised us we would profit from this relationship. Jango was really annoyed by all the talk of profit and compensation. Don't worry, Hondo. I will be sure you are paid for your services. Then you can be on your way. Hondo had heard that many times, but Hondo also remembered that he was lucky to be alive. When he boarded the Mandalorian ships years ago, the pirates could have easily been killed. That's the only reason Hondo was stuck around. It was hard for him to admit that Jango was actually his friend. Profiteers don't have friends. Then the call came in on the holo projector. It was Duke Adonai Kreese himself. Mandalore Fett, we will not allow you to use Mandalore as your staging ground for war. I'm sorry. I believe you when you say you want peace, but peace through battle does not exist. Jango punched the wall next to him. This is unacceptable, Duke. We will fight to protect you when Death Watch comes to take from you what they have taken from so many others. We did not start this war, but together we have the means to finish it. Duke remained calm, which brings me to my next point. Tor Vezla and Deathwatch have been spotted in the Galandran system. We believe he is forcing civilians to join him. I have asked my protectors if anyone wishes to join your cause. 20 men are now with you. Go to Galandran and eliminate Tor Vezla and Deathwatch, and we will renegotiate your terms of peace. The Duke must have known that the true Mandalorian's condition was in no shape to fight Deathwatch. But there was still the matter of transport. He promised Hondo that this would be his last stop. Duke, we will have no transport. These Weequay entrepreneurs have been gracious enough to bring us here, but must get back to their own affairs. The Duke pauses for a moment. Done. You can take 5 of our gauntlet fighters. They are of no use to us here anyway. Jango thought for a moment before Miles Skirata spoke up. This guy is either setting us up or he really wants to get rid of us. Jango regarded Miles. I don't think it's a setup. He's offering us his men. Miles laughed. Then he really wants to get rid of us. Jango laughed along. He then resumed the communication with Duke Kreese. We will do this, but we want your word that we can return home for a normal life when this war is won. Duke Kreese responded, Nobody wins in a war, son, but we will discuss the terms if you are victorious. Now go, before I change my mind. Jango turned to call for Hondo Ohnaka, the trusty Weequay that had been by his side for so long. He had rescued Jango and his remaining forces on Corta 6 and stuck with them, even when it seemed there was no chance of victory. But Hondo was already standing there when Jango turned around. My friend, I heard everything. I would assume this did not come with compensation for my services. Jango had completely forgotten to ask about that. I'm sorry, Hondo, but when this war is over, I will seek you out and reward you for everything you have done. Hondo appeared agitated again. We do not leave until you have paid us adequately. Jango looked down. You know we are going back into battle with Deathwatch. You saw what they did last time to us. Hondo smiled. My boy, have you learned nothing? You fell into a trap. You were not prepared. This time, it is you setting the trap. Jango smiled. It hadn't been that long since Corta 6, but everything happened so fast that his memory of it was fuzzy. Hondo then smiled. This time, my boys and I will be the distraction. Jango responded. You're acting more like a Mandalorian than the pacifists are. Jango, Miles, Hondo, and Cart Rao made the plans. They were given the 5 fighters and the fuel and provisions for the flight to come. As all ships lifted off the ground, Jango wished everyone luck. Everyone was excited. This could mean the end of the war. This could mean a return to normal life. Then Jango got on the comms to all vehicles. Oya, voide on. He could hear a return from all ships. Oya, voide on. Then everyone on Jango's gauntlet began singing voide on. Protector Almec was not among the volunteers. He felt his place was at home. When he returned to his office, he locked the door and approached his desk. He tapped a button and Tor Vizsla appeared. Mandalore Vizsla, Jango Fett, and his true Mandalorians are on their way. Tor Vizsla gave a maniacal smile. You have done well, Almec. You will be at my right hand soon enough. Then the comms ended. Almec put his helmet back on and returned to his policing duties. As soon as Almec disappears from Tor Vizsla's holoprojector, Tor presses another button. A figure appears. Master Dooku, I have news of Jango Fett and the true Mandalorians. To be continued. Okay, so that's the prelude to the Battle of Galindran. If you haven't read Open Seasons, no worries. My story isn't a play-by-play of the comic, but it tells the story through new eyes that could match up with new canon material in The Mandalorian, The Book of Boba Fett, hopefully, and possibly even The Bad Batch. Let me know what you think so far. There are only a couple more episodes left before this story is complete, so leave a comment below and let's chat about it. And if you haven't done so yet, go on and like the video and subscribe to the channel with all notifications on to stay up to date on all my Jango Fett, Boba Fett, Mandalorian, and Star Wars content. Hitting the thumbs up really helps my channel out there as well. Thank you for watching, and remember, this is the way, the only way.